Welcome to this Youth Access Evaluation Bitesize with me, Sarah Burrows. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Evaluation and Impact Officer here at Youth Access. Today, we are going to cover theory of change, otherwise known as TOC or TOC. Starting with what is a theory of change, why we have the theory of change within our organisation, what does a theory of change look like in its simplest form, and if you're wanting to build a theory of change, whether that's for your whole organisation or for just a project, what are the practicalities of doing so and the options of how to do that? What is a theory of change? Looking at it backwards, the change is the change that you want to make, whether that's a project or within your organisation, and the theory of how you want to make that change, the theory of the steps that you're going to make that change. A theory of change documents the impact that your organisation is seeking to achieve. It helps you to ensure that your activities and resources are aligned with this strategic priority. If you're building a theory of change for a project, it should ideally be done at the initiation phase of that project and revised periodically. So what is a theory of change? A theory of change helps you to bridge the gap between the activities that you may be doing and the impact that you're hoping to have. It's a map that shows the connections between what you hope to deliver, what you hope the impact to be, and how you're going to get there. It's not only a process of mapping this out within your team, it's also an output and visually represented within either a 1 or 2 pager, represented in multiple different ways. Most organizations have a theory of change for their strategy, for their organization, that describes the links. Obviously, within your organization, working with young people, there's a huge amount of complexity to what you're trying to achieve, short-term and long-term. So building a theory of change can really help you to break this down and create alignment internally and to demonstrate to external stakeholders, for example, funders, NHS, other people that might be interested of what your organization's doing. It's usually visually represented in the format of kind of a map with arrows and all sorts, which we'll cover in a little moment. The process of doing a theory of change in your organisation is that it encourages people to think about the steps that they're taking to get to the long-term aim. Keeps everybody on the same page as what you're trying to achieve. And it forms a cohesiveness within your team or organisation. And you can build a theory of change for projects, and that might be quite specific. So you might create a theory of change for a project, like a pilot project that you're looking at running with young people of a specific age between 16 and 18, of 4 counselling sessions on a certain topic. Alternatively, you might have an organisational theory of change with a relatively broad topic of your impact statement. This is a picture frequently used within theory of change training, and it really demonstrates that you can have the activity that you're doing, and that might be in the form of counselling services, that might be in the form of delivering advice on employment, to the impact. And it's bridging the gap between what you're actually doing and where you want to get to. What is that long-term impact that your organisation is hoping to have? So why do you have a theory of change? It supports your organisation to have a description of the complexity of the change. It also helps you to understand the assumptions that you're making, as well as knowing the evidence that you've got to support the problem statements that you might start with. For example, you may be making an assumption that by giving advice on a very specific topic around employment services within your area is going to increase young people's knowledge and confidence, that therefore results in more funding for them. The theory of change helps you map out those steps and helps you be able to explain those to other people. The theory of change also provides a universal language. It's very standardized language used in theory of change, so across organizations and across stakeholders. It also helps you to build a monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework. It helps you to understand what it is you're going to measure to make sure that you're achieving what you said you're going to achieve. What does a theory of change look like? Theories of change look differently across organizations, across projects, across teams. But here is some very common language that you'll see in the talk. So, activities, what you do, with whom, in what context. For example, if you're delivering counselling services, so that's delivering 6 sessions, to who, young people, of what age, in what context. Your output is the things that your activities achieve, and these are often defined in numeric values. So, for example, you may hope to reach 25 young people on this initiative. Your outcomes are the results that you're hoping to have. So what's the increase or decrease? What's the change that you're aiming to have within this initiative? So for example, the same point is if you've got young people and you're working with 25, what is the difference you're hoping to see from working with them in this initiative? Is that an increase in knowledge and confidence? Is that a change in their circumstance? Is that more people getting a place at university? This is the point that you define what the change is that you're hoping to make. These are usually slightly longer term. So you've got your outputs that you can measure, usually in a shorter term, so maybe 0 to 3 to 6 months to 12 months, and outcomes are often measured more infrequently and at a longer term. And then all of these should feed into your impact statement or your aims. And these are potentially your mission, your vision statements. They're the wider piece. Like I said, theories of change can look really differently. Some people like to include inputs, some people like to include social value. It really varies on what you want to include for simplicity. Here you can see that they've got inputs, which is the costs involved, and then you've got the outputs, which is participants undertaking regular activities, and the outcomes being confidence, managing feelings, communication, problem solving, resilience. As you can see, outcomes here are slightly less tangible, which is absolutely ideal because you're measuring change. And then you've got your impact statements. And this, therefore, it's your outputs lead into the so what, so that they're more people, young people are more confident, so that that reaches your impact statement. So how to build a theory of change? What are the practicalities of actually building this? There are 2 ways. You can build it internally, or you can hire someone to come in externally and support you to do this. The situation will vary depending on a level of knowledge of evaluation and the size of the theory of change. For example, if you've got an organisation-wide theory of change, you may want to bring someone in externally if you haven't got that resource in-house. Or if it's just a project, you've got the tools to hand, grab a template online and have a go at building one. If you're going to build one in-house or bring someone in externally, this may look like a workshop, a series of workshops, but if you're going to do it internally, think about 4 to 6 hours building a workshop, bringing everyone's knowledge up on what a theory of change is and what the purpose of it is and the why. And then start mapping that out, whether that's with flip chart, if you're face-to-face, and post-it notes, or if that's online, working with a Jamboard. Now, to quote Stephen Covey from his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, begin with the end in mind. When you're building a theory of change, you always want to work backwards. You want to start with the long-term impact, and then think about the outcomes that are going to reach that impact, and then think about the outputs that are then going to reach those outcomes, and then what activities do you need to do to reach those. Don't worry if it throws up activities that you're already doing that may not align within your theory of change. Make a note of them, put them to one side, and come back to them at a later date to reassess how that's going to look moving forward for you. And everyone's different, each organisation's different. So that is kind of what a theory of change is. It's that bridge between your impact and your activities. It's a place for you to describe to internal stakeholders and external stakeholders how you plan on achieving your impact statement. So we've covered also the language used, and that's really important when you're building your theory of change, and then what that might look like for you and how to build it. If you've got any questions, or if you would like any extra support from Youth Access whilst building your theories of change, please feel free to email either me at sarah@youthaccess.org.uk or our admin account. So that's admin@youthaccess.org.uk.